Hello, and welcome to the second official episode of the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Darby Hallman.
And I am Jeff Mayo, the other host.
And this is gonna be a little bit of a different episode.
Yeah, it's all Darby's fault.
Yeah, it's all me. But this has been a really crazy week, hasn't it, Jeff? Really crazy week in gaming.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe when Nintendo made that robot.
Yeah.
That you can pilot and drive around using a Switch controller. I never really saw that coming. That was crazy.
I can't believe Kingdom Hearts 3 had a stealth release.
I know. It was just there. It was just on the store.
Yeah. And it's out, right?
I can't believe it. It's insane.
It's never coming out.
Okay. Yeah. Full disclosure. We are recording this immediately after last week's episode, if you didn't catch it before. I'm currently, as you're listening to this, I just got back in town. Basically, we couldn't record this week.
Yeah.
So we decided to make this episode all about just us and getting to know us more, because most of you probably don't know us or our history with gaming or anything, or why we're doing this podcast, that kind of thing. So we thought we'd just have a little conversation just about what gaming means to us, what games have inspired us, what games we loved as a kid, and
be a lot more chill.
Yeah,
a lot less structured. You don't have to hear me read as much. You're welcome.
I'm sure Jeff's happy about that. You don't have to pronounce any crazy names this time.
I'm sure we'll fit some in there.
We'll find some way. So just starting out, we're both college students. I'm 21. You're 35, right?
Yes. No, I'm 23. I'm not out of college yet. Help me.
He'll get there.
I got a year left.
I'm the arts and culture editor for the Daily Gamecock, which is the University of South Carolina student newspaper, and I try to fit a bunch of video game stuff in there. I don't know if anyone cares, but I want to write about that stuff. So,
and I'm just a generic business major that goes to Lander University in Greenwood, South Carolina, because most people probably haven't heard of it.
Yeah, specify. Right, generic business major number.
Yep.
Number 320,000.
Yep. Nothing really special about me. I'm just at the point of I'm just trying to get out.
Yeah. There's a lot special about Jeff. He's just humble.
Sure. That's what we'll call it.
So, but we've for most of our lives we've been very into gaming, obviously.
Yep.
We I think there was a little section of our life where we thought we were too cool for it or something, and we made fun of other people for oh, you play video games? Let's
nerd. You still play Pokemon?
And then eventually we realized that to stop just projecting some sort of actual quote unquote life about ourselves, and just realized that we like playing Mario too much.
Yeah, the Java Pokemon earlier. I love Pokemon.
I think we were still trying to figure out who exactly we were back then. I don't really think that was. Yeah, no, it was dumb. But that aside, for the most of our lives, we've been very into video games, which is obviously why we're doing this show right here. We figured out that basically our conversations, just as we're in the car and we're just sitting around doing anything, we're basically this podcast. We were basically sitting around having conversations about video games, about the culture around it and everything, to the point where we're like, why not just turn a microphone on and try this out,
Yeah. The only difference is, again, less reading from me.
Yeah, Jeff usually doesn't pull out an IGN article and read me everything, including their names.
I normally never give credit to where I get my information.
Jeff, you should always cite your sources. Even if you're in a random car ride, you should always cite your sources.
Okay.
So basically, that's us, and we're just going to talk a little bit about what games we've loved growing up, which ones had an impact on us and everything.
And it's more of our general gaming history, like what consoles have we owned, how did we feel about them at the time or looking back, stuff like that.
Yeah. And I guess I can start out with I think not everyone has a favorite game, like, for sure specified, but I do, and it's probably something I'm just stubborn about, but it might change at some point. Who knows? But it probably won't. I'm one of those guys. My favorite game is Final Fantasy VII.
Nerd.
I'm not one of those that just completely blindly loves Seven and it's like, all the other Final Fantasies can bow down before it. It's just, I fully admit that it's one of those things. I was young when I played Final Fantasy VII. My uncle was the one he first, like, he had beaten it like 12 times or something ridiculous like that. And he gave me his copy of, like, the original, like, the disc of it, and I played it on my PS2. And even though, I completely fell in love with those characters and that battle system and everything. Even though really most people that grew up on Final Fantasy VII are a little older than I am, because I was born when it was made.
Yeah.
It was 96. I was born in 95, right? It was either 96 or 97. It was around like...
Yeah. It was like, It was, you were at most 2.
At most, yeah. So... Obviously, it had already been out. It already had its legacy by the time I played it or whatever. And I was playing games with better graphics back then. But it's just something about that story. It just really got me. And even the art style, even though everyone has like horse hoof hands, it has like the pre-rendered backgrounds, and it really doesn't hold up that well visually today. But there's an undeniable charm about that game, if that makes sense.
That's why they're doing the remake, Darby.
Yeah, I was expecting horse hoof hands for the remake, but I was a little disappointed about that.
I expect them to be actual horses.
That's the true potential of Final Fantasy VII brought out. So that game still today, I still replay it like every other year. I have it on the PS4. I'll probably get on the PS5 or whatever. I just always want to have that game somewhere where I can play it because it's just very special to me. Do you have a? I know you're more of a Final Fantasy X guy. I don't know if it made your list of topics, but I think that's Jeff's favorite Final Fantasy, right?
Yep, it's definitely my favorite. I haven't played all of them. I have not played 7. I guess they'd say I have not played any of the PS1 Final Fantasies. I did not have a PS1.
Yeah, I did.
I know I can go back and play them, but I just never got around to it because it was a long games. I only have so much time. But as far as Final Fantasy, 10's my favorite. It's the first one I can't remember playing. I might have played some of the earlier ones earlier than that. I can't remember exact times. But I have played, I want to say I played 1 through 4 in some form.
I think I have as well.
Though I don't remember them as well. And as far as also Final Fantasy, I played Dissidia Final Fantasy, the fighting game. Lots of fun. I recommend it. Please release the PS4 one already.
Well, how old were you when you played 10? Because I remember us being kids, and I remember watching you play it some, but that was a long time ago. To us, a long time ago.
Yeah. For me, it might have been when I was like 12 or something. You might have been like 10 because I don't think I got a PS2 until like I was in middle school.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was a little late on the PlayStation train. I pretty much had Nintendo only up to that point as far as what I actually owned.
Right.
But yeah. For a while I called Final Fantasy X my favorite game of all time. But I'm at the point now there's so many games I love. Even some games looking back at how much I love them. Like, I can't pick one favorite game anymore.
Yeah.
Definitely understand. Even some newer games, like, I can say they're probably one of my favorites, but I can't say this is my absolute favorite at this point because games are now so varied.
They are. I mean, it's hard. It's how do you even compare like Last of Us and like cartoony thing or like Smash Bros. How do you compare the two?
Yeah,
that kind of thing. But what was I gonna say?
I guess you're done with Final Fantasy. Tell us more about your favorite game / game series.
Another one that
I think I know what's coming.
Jeff knows because I have a irrational love for it. I realize they're not like the best games or whatever, but they hit me at a very impressional time. It was the Sly Cooper series. I was the PS2 is probably it's probably the console that has like the most special memories to me, because that's what I grew up on, like when I was a kid. That's what like I would go over to Jeff's house and play N64 or GameCube or other things, but the PS2 was the first one that I owned.
Yeah, like I said, I got the PS2 really late. Yeah. To the point my first one was like the little tiny slim one.
Yeah, I had the big fat.
Yeah, you had it for a while, so yeah. I was playing catch up on PS2.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, I think I had like my sister had a Genesis before then, so I played some Sonic and like Lion King and stuff. But the first one that was really like, this is my console, and I'm playing all these games for, was the PS2. Yeah. And like I've said with a lot of these, I love like the big three platformers with like Sly, Ratchet and Clank, and Jak and Daxter.
Yeah, the big PS2 platformers.
Yeah, I love
platformers.
Yeah, whatever. Mascot.
Yeah, mascot games.
Yeah, everyone lumps those together, obviously, because they were like competing at the same time. They were doing that, but I loved all of them. But Sly was always like kind of hit a special place for me. I loved the kind of like almost spy thriller type thing, like story it has going on, but it's kind of like making jabs at a lot of things. And I go back and play those games like often.
He does like when it. At some point when, I guess, still at a PS2, he at some point was like, I need the collection. I need to platinum these.
And Jeff's like, why you play them so many times?
I think I remember we went around like at a whole bunch of GameStop to find Sly 2.
Because I had two of them still. I mean, I had played all of them, but I still had some. I kept two of them, but I couldn't find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess it was with PS2, but then you ended up getting the Sly collection for the PS3.
Yeah.
Yeah. We went to find the PS2 Sly 2. We went around a lot of places.
We used to have a lot more time, Jeff.
Yep.
We had a lot more free time. What happened?
I don't know. Well, we're finding time for this.
I guess we still have free time. We're just choosing to do dumb things like this. Dumb things back then too. So we do a lot of dumb things. But those games are very special to me. They're kind of, I think Sly is like my comfort food game. Like if I'm having like an ultra bad day and I just need to do something fun that I know like I can just throw those in. They just, Yeah. I know all the levels. I know everything. Like it's not a hard game or anything. It's just a nice game. We'll probably talk. I want to have like future main topics about that, but I don't know if you have that at all. But I definitely have some comfort food gaming stuff, and I definitely have some games that can kind of just put my mind at ease with some stuff like that.
I have general stuff, but if I'm being honest, I'm not a big guy normally who goes back to the old games. Like, I mean, partly because I don't really have that option to, but even with like Wii U stuff or the PS3, I haven't gone back to playing again, especially since I got the new systems.
Yeah.
Not my thing, is there's so many new games I'm already neglecting.
Yeah, I play new games too, but I'm the kind of the opposite. When I love a game, like I've played The Last of Us twice, I've played BioShock Infinite twice, played Sly too many times to count. Other games another big one that I think a lot of people have memories of, like when it came out, was Skyrim. Again, we're younger gamers, so like
our thing is like you're not gonna get much out of us. Like I know from these things, most people have the most fond memories of the NES and Genesis or SNES. That's not really us. We have very vague memories of potentially playing those consoles.
Yeah, so our like kind of like fond memories of growing up were more of like PS2, and then
we like those games when we played them. But we didn't have exactly the much option or the knowledge to actually get them when we were young.
But I think there's a lot of gamers out there that are our age that probably have the same perspective. Like most people in gaming media are older than that, so you don't hear about it as much. But I think as we grow up, there's a lot of people that are nostalgic for this type of thing. And I remember being in like middle school or high school, I think it was high school at the point. Whenever Skyrim came out.
At least I was in high school.
I think I was in high school. I think so. But leading up to it, me and my friends would sit at the lunch table and like there would be some new screenshots or new information about Skyrim for like a year and a half leading up to it. We were just constantly talking about it, and we were like, like it seems so weird now because there's so many games coming out at one time that you don't really focus on one game or anything.
Yeah.
You just kind of like this stuff's coming out. I'll play it when I get there. But
There's some exceptions for me at least.
yeah, there are exceptions. But back then, like Skyrim was the game.
Yeah,
we were all.
I guess so people know I never played Skyrim. I really have no plans to play Skyrim. I never had much like interest in playing Bethesda.
I've been meaning
game.
to talk to you. If you like this Zelda,
Yeah.
you would have liked Skyrim. I think
Yeah.
it might be a little late now. The game's 6 years old, and some of the
Coming on the Switch.
some of the stuff's outdated. So I don't know. I mean, I think you would
Yeah.
still like it, but I think you would have liked it like
Mm-hmm.
if you had actually played it. But anyway,
I was
while
just about to say,
Skyrim-
I remember like the hype from you and
Oh,
I
it
guess
was
the
me
friends.
and like Alex
Yeah.
and everyone. But the biggest thing about it is like it might not be my like absolute favorite game of all time because I think 7 is, and it definitely has some of its problems. But you know, usually a lot of times you can hype a game up to the point where it doesn't live up. It's like it's impossible for it to live up to its expectations. Honestly, that should have happened to us with Skyrim, with how ridiculously high we were hyped for it. But I just remember when I first got that game, it was just as good as I wanted it to be. Like I was running around in that world,
You
me
played
and,
that game forever.
me and all my friends. So we said the same thing. We're like, "Holy crap, this is." I mean, like, because I remember back then we're like, "It looks so good. It looks so real. And it's like the map is so huge and everything." Now, even 6 years later, now we're like,
Yeah.
"Oh God, this looks."
Well, it's the thing though. We were young at the time, so we didn't see it. How people reacted to like Ocarina of Time and Mario 64
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they were the same thing. They're like,
and
"Oh
Final
my God."
Fantasy 7.
Yeah.
Like it's that whole thing, but now we're getting to the point where it's more. It's like actually true. I mean, there's still
Yeah.
room to improve, but
Maybe. I mean, like, who knows?
yeah, I mean, there's still stuff here and there, but we're
Yeah. So that's always going to go down. Even, I mean, I think some people have some revisionist history. Some people are like, "Oh, Skyrim's not that great," but at the time, Skyrim was crazy.
Oh yeah. I agree. Yeah, it's for a lot of games. Some people have already looking back on like The Witcher and saying, "Hey, whether it's really not."
They are.
I mean, it's like a kind of slightly vocal minority, but I mean, it's starting. And then you look at some games that not that long ago, like some Last of Us, a lot of BioShock Infinite.
There's a lot of people that just try to be contrarian with the
Yeah.
last. Like, I legitimately think that like this might be a controversial opinion, but I think it's acceptable for you to say that you didn't that The Last of Us wasn't your thing or you didn't particularly like The Last of Us, but I think there is no legitimate way you could say that The Last of Us is a bad game.
Yeah.
It could not be your thing, but if you can't look at that and recognize that that was a well done piece of, that was a well done video game, then I don't get.
I feel that way probably about more games than most. Like, okay, this may not be my thing or maybe most people think, but I think most people should be able to see like, hey, there's quality here and see why people like it.
I do that with lots of movies and lots of games. They're not my thing, but I recognize.
I mean, I probably do that with more games than most. It seems like but any big game for the most part, I'm like, there's a fair amount of people hating on it. But I'm like, I see why people like it. I may not care for it, but I'm not gonna say it's awful.
It's just objectively horrible. Yeah, it's just.
I mean, not even in my opinion, it's awful. Like, it's just not my thing.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be worth me paying the money for and paying my time when there's so much other stuff.
Yeah. So that's another one. The Last of Us was another one of those that was just. Building up to The Last of Us, it was we were all it was what's Naughty Dog doing this great? It was the first like IP after Uncharted that kind of came out of nowhere, and I expected it to be good, but God, I was blown away. I think you were too. Like we were all.
It's kind of a good swan song for the PS3. I mean, I know there's games after that, but as far as like really big games, are just for that.
That was one of the biggest send-offs, and that's The Last of Us is definitely the go-to for like. Video games as art. Like the video games is like this is a legit medium for storytelling. Yeah. Because it had a very emotional and deep story that you don't normally see in this kind of thing. And I'll just last one. I'll like kick it over to you but
well, my list is longer, but I think there's some stuff here. Me and you can go back and forth.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
BioShock Infinite was right there around with The Last of Us. I just remember that was one of my favorite times in gaming because it was just back to back. It was BioShock Infinite and The Last of Us.
I'll just think, I know we ended up not caring for it much. Grand Theft Auto 5 came out then too.
Yeah, and that's that's the much bigger deal. We're kind of a niche there. Like,
I had fun with it, but I had no interest in like doing the online stuff, which I get why people find it fun, especially if you have friends for it.
Yeah, which again, I'm talking about my thing here. Yeah. So yeah, GTA wasn't as big for either of us, obviously, but I absolutely loved Infinite. Like some people, it's kind of controversial, but I like Infinite more than the original BioShock.
Darby with them hot takes.
I just loved Columbia, and I loved Elizabeth as a character and Booker as a character. It was I liked that Booker was a character kind of more than in BioShock, you know. And I should probably turn my phone on silent.
Well, also
BioShock. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Also important to note that those two games Darby mentioned that came out at the same time. Main character voiced by the same guy.
Yeah, well, the legend.
Yeah, Troy Baker himself.
But Infinite was a very, very, very special game to me. And then there's other games. Super Mario 64, obviously, huge.
Well,
huge
you know,
game
probably about
me.
to bring out stuff like that in a bunch of Nintendo games.
Yeah. Oh, and me and you, I had some great memories with Jeff with 64 games. I'm sure Jeff will get into it. So go ahead. What you got on your...
Okay, well, I don't know how I got more on... Oh, we just kind of made a quick list. I probably have more than Darby. But, yeah, some of these... Darby was able to put in more. But I will say, I didn't put in much in the Sly Cooper thing. I also love Sly Cooper. It's just... I don't know if fair
I'm overbearing with my love of Sly Cooper.
Yeah, I just don't love it the level Darby does. Like, I played all the games. Darby actually gave me his Vita code for Sly 4 because when it came out, the PS3 version had free Vita codes.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
And Jeff thought that the Vita was going somewhere, so he got...
Yeah, I forget I played that on there. It's like one of the few Vita games I actually really played. Yeah. But... I guess it's so, you know, is this remixing this with like just our general gaming history, like consoles and stuff?
Do whatever you want, man. Okay. We're playing jazz here.
Okay. Well, I'll start. First legitimate gaming memory I have, which I guess is the oldest, playing Sonic the Hedgehog. Playing Sonic the Hedgehog on the Sega Genesis. That is I guess the first memory.
Yeah.
Which is probably why, if you listen to last week's podcast, why I've talked about Sonic the way I did. I still have some love for Sonic. Not all the games live up to expectations or are just not good because, you know, sometimes you don't have expectations. But I still enjoy it when they're good.
Jeff, Sonic's bad, haven't you heard? Everyone says.
I know.
Sonic's inferior.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say like they're the best games ever, but they're enjoyable when they're good.
They have a special place forever. I think I don't talk about it as much. I don't remember it quite as much. I think you're only a few years older than me. It's probably enough older than me
at
to
the
remember
time.
that more.
I think those 2 years can make the difference.
They can, yeah, for that. And I remember playing it, obviously, just not as vividly. But I think that was probably one of my first games too. That and the Lion King Genesis game, which is probably god awful. I can only imagine.
I can't remember. It was one of those Disney games that are insanely hard.
It probably was hard. It was probably hard just because of bad level design.
Maybe. Cool. First console I legitimately owned was the Nintendo 64. So most of stuff I remember the best comes from them. So obviously I played Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
Which I loved, still love. This is one of those things where it's like that was one of the revolutionary games, like changed everything.
I think it's still one of the best games of all time.
Yeah.
I think it's clear. I mean, even looking today, I mean, some of the level design in that game is still awesome.
Yeah. Then of course, you know, if you have a Nintendo 64, there's no way you haven't played The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Of course. I mean, that's on my list. That should be on my list too. I mean, we're just kind of like loosely going here, but
it's going as things go. But something, and this is an unpopular opinion. As much as I love Ocarina of Time, and it's up there as one of my top games. I like Majora's Mask more.
I'm in a similar I can't, I don't know if I can definitively say that, but they're at least
my opinion.
They're
but
equally.
It's my
least,
opinion. Yeah. I enjoy it more overall, but if someone says the opposite, I'm not gonna argue.
No.
They are both like top games of all time material, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think Ocarina was the more important revolutionary game, but Majora's Mask, you have like I might have more fond memories of that, but they were both phenomenal.
I mean, even then, when I was a kid, just playing with the mask was just a lot of fun.
Mm.
So,
I mean, there's something so like for the N64 and just your living room at your house and the N64. There's something so damn nostalgic about
I don't know if you remember this as well. I mean, this might be part of me from my living room, but do you remember my old lake house?
Yeah,
we played Nintendo 64, and another game I'm gonna bring up. I can't not bring this game up. I know it's in the grand scheme of things, it's a small game, but to me and Darby, it's big. Pokemon Stadium.
I knew it. I know.
I mean,
games. I have no clue. Did people buy that game? Like I just know you did, and we played it for hours.
I mean, there were two, and they kind of had similar kind of spin-off things for the GameCube.
Okay.
But when I was younger, those games were just a lot of fun, just picking the Pokemon.
I wasn't even like all that into. I didn't really even play Pokemon games, but we would just.
I mean, even I think it was in 2, those dumb little mini games kept us occupied for a while.
Yeah. We would have jokes about what Flaffy.
Oh yeah, we used to call the Pokemon Flaffy Fluffy, and saying Fluffy can do the job because we thought it was OP at the time for some reason. I think because it had a bunch of different typed moves.
We probably just didn't understand.
Yeah. Well, Flaffy in like a developed form is still up there for my favorite Pokemon.
Yeah.
As I discussed, I guess my history, there'll be a lot of Pokemon there. Like, also one of my earliest gaming memories for a lot of people probably around my age playing Pokemon Red on the Game Boy. Like, that pretty much one of those things that started gaming for me as far as like me loving it.
Yeah.
Those games I will always remember. Pokemon's a series I will always love.
Oh yeah.
Played Sun and Moon last year. Really liked them. Glad some changes. Even played like Pokemon Coliseum and XD Gale of Darkness on the GameCube. Those looking back were probably not that great of games because you're limited how many Pokemon you get, but still love those at the time.
Pokemon's unfortunately kind of one of my holes in gaming. Like, yeah. Besides Coliseum and like Smash Bros. And stuff.
Yeah, well, I guess we can go ahead and talk about this game because it started with the N64, the Smash Bros. Series for us.
Hell yes! I mean that's another one that's childhood for me.
Well, even just recent stuff. I mean,
that's been our entire. That's what is awesome about Nintendo. I mean, like for me, it's Sony too. Because growing up, I was a Sony kid, and I'm still more of a Sony guy now than anything else. But there's something about those Nintendo series and something about Smash Bros. that has been ever since I was like 6 until even like now we'll still get together with friends, and to see that series grow like that, it's awesome.
And then bringing the main character from your favorite game out of nowhere.
Yes. Yeah, it makes
Dari didn't believe me when I told him that.
We're talking about Cloud, by the way, Final Fantasy VII. I had like gotten out of class or something. I had gotten in my truck and I saw a text from Jeff saying something about Cloud being in Smash, and this was
like I'm sure I even said, "Hey, I know this is crazy, but Cloud is in Smash Bros."
And like obviously, like during this time, like there were still characters that were going to be announced and everything, and there was constantly like rumors or fake stuff that people made. So you were constantly having to be like, okay, let's verify this because it's probably not true. And I thought, obviously, Jeff just saw some fake thing, and now he's trying to troll me with it. He's trying to make me believe it. And I was like, okay, whatever. And he sent me the link to it, and I'm like, fine. And I'll be like, see my truck. And I was like, all right, well, what if it is real? It's like, I can't drive home thinking, what if it's real the whole time? So, like, I sat there and clicked on it and watched the whole trailer. It's like, what? It made no sense whatsoever. Final Fantasy VII's never even been on a Nintendo system.
Nope. But plenty of Final Fantasy have, and Cloud's just the Final Fantasy guy.
I mean, I didn't care. I wasn't complaining about that. That's fantastic. But yeah, going back, we would play Well, I know we played the original, like the 64 Smash. I know we played Melee,
Yeah.
but we played.
Oh, I've had all of them.
Yeah.
I played put a substantial amount of time in all of them.
Oh, I don't even want to see that stat.
So yeah, we love the Smash Bros. Series. So if they do port for the Switch, we might be interested, depending on what they do with it.
Yeah, I have to consider that.
If it's just a straight on port, nah.
Yeah, I mean, we
Money.
still have a Wii U.
Yep. We'll be gathering a little more dust
Somehow
now.
we're one of the ones. We're one of the few.
Yeah, it's going on. Another big series that popped out for me when thinking about the Nintendo 64 is Banjo-Kazooie. For me, it's up there, and I know this is one of those unpopular opinions. As far as remembering it, it's up there with Mario 64 for me. As far as like a 3D platformer.
Yeah.
I know, obviously Mario 64 did more for gaming as a whole, but just those memories of Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie are, yeah. It probably is up there like one of my favorite games because of that. And scenes and stuff, I haven't played it really much since then, but I still believe it holds up pretty well. You may have to play it then, but...
Yeah. I mean, I think some of the, like, you know, with Sly Cooper, it's kind of like my version almost of your Banjo in that. And I think those games are still fun to play, even if the mechanics are kind of weird.
I am excited for Yooka-Laylee.
And Yooka-Laylee shows that there's a lot of people like you. There's a lot of people who like are very nostalgic about that game. And there's something special when a game, because I played a lot of games as a kid, but there's a few of them that really stuck. And it definitely means something when you see something like Banjo that obviously stuck for enough people to where they can fund the Patreon and do all those stuff. So yeah, Yooka-Laylee going.
I will not give my opinion of Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts. That's all I will say. Well, going on.
He loves it.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I didn't have a regular PlayStation, but I did end up getting PlayStation 2 at some point. There's definitely some series that stood out for me there, which kind of, shaped what I like now. Mm-hmm. I'm a big JRPG guy.
That's nice.
Yeah. So, and I guess I also played some with the GameCube, not as much, but
I'm honestly probably a JRPG guy. Honestly, probably because of you. I grew up watching you play Xenosaga, all those other ones.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I'm stealing yours.
There's actually on the list just a couple series. I'm sure there are more, but the couple series / games that stuck with me and really shaped my gaming taste. Now, Final Fantasy, of course, with 10. Yeah. Like Dart said, Xenosaga. I love that series, and it's one of those. Thinking back, I can see it holding up pretty well.
Yeah,
and depending on the graphics, but at least the battle system and stuff. The story is BS anyway, so that won't change a thing. Then the regular series is more popular, but I was a big fan of Dot Hack GU. That series. Do you remember me playing that one? I never played around you, so.
I do remember a little bit about that. I think we talked about it not too long ago, yeah.
Like, action JRPG series, it was a lot of fun. I loved it. It definitely shaped me, which led me to finding one of my favorite series, Kingdom Hearts. I just love that series. Same reaction a lot of people when it react, like Final Fantasy and Disney.
Oh, I can't, I wish that I was paying more attention or was old enough or whatever to have, really seen the reactions to that. Mm-hmm. Because people, it had to have been just... people obviously must have just thought that was a joke at first.
Yeah. I love that series. There's some definitely flaws in there, some of the fighting style, especially the first one, may not hold up as well.
Yeah.
Some of the emptiness of the levels don't hold up as well, but I think it still has, some of that Disney charm in it, even if some of the stuff is empty and the fighting style is fun. It's just a whole bunch of things,
And some of the gameplay was kind of a product of its time there and everything. But
I think they've done a decent job of, since then, kind of upgrading and changing things to make the sooner games do hold up for the time.
Yeah, they've done a good job of making the story more and more complex to the point where literally no one understands.
Yeah, but now
I'm convinced the people writing the story don't even understand.
It went from one where the story's okay, it fit what it was, and it was okay, easy to follow. Then it quickly went, what is going on? And then it quickly jumped to, I don't know what's going on. I don't care. I just want to see where this goes. How far does the madness go?
Watch this train crash.
That's pretty much how it is. And I love it. A lot of people love it.
I never really played 2, but
I know you had 1.
But it's
I
not.
played your copy of 1.
It's not because I didn't. I loved 1. Everyone loved it. Like every kid loved it at the time because it was it was Disney and Final Fantasy. It was like 2 completely different parts of what I love.
Yep.
And it was like seeing like what Disney World are we going to go to next. It's awesome. I hope for your sake you get the 3 will ever come out, but don't hold your breath.
I won't. And also just around that general GameCube, PS2 era, I'm having trouble at the top of my head thinking of like standout GameCube games. I know there is some.
God, we played a lot of GameCube. I mean, Melee obviously, but we've talked about Smash Bros.
I know there were games.
What was there? I mean, I played Twilight Princess on the Wii.
Yeah, that's for the end. But yeah, there was a time before that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know there's stuff I played on there. I remember my first game on GameCube. It was a Yu-Gi-Oh game. It was a weird Yu-Gi-Oh like Fire Emblem hybrid thing, and I loved it. It was great. But I know there was more. I can't remember now. It'll probably come up again at some point.
After we stop recording.
Yeah. But just around that time between these games, I played some both on GameCube and some on PS2 at the time. One, well, just anime games in general, like Dragon Ball Z, Naruto. I played a lot of those.
Yeah. Was that GameCube or PS2? The monkeys.
That actually might have been the Wii.
Oh, really?
I think it was on both.
Okay.
That series went on from GameCube / PS2 into the Wii. I think the one you remember the most fondly was on the Wii. Yeah.
Sure,
People who Dragon Ball Z fans, I'm talking about Budokai Tenkaichi 3. We played it on the Wii. Daria Lud being the Golden 8 baby.
Yeah.
And
I just remember it's the giant monkey game.
Yeah. So yeah, I loved playing the Naruto Dragon Ball Z games, and around that time, I found a series that I ended up loving, and Dark ended up loving, the Tales series.
Yes, I was much later in the game, but yes.
Yep. I'm pretty sure the first one, I can't remember. The first one I either played was Tales of the Abyss or Tales of, I think it's Legendia, on the GameCube. Can't remember which one, but I really liked them at the time. You know, the action JRPG thing, obviously found fun. Skits were fun, kept my interest, especially when I was younger.
Yeah.
I played them as single player at the time, but going into the PS3 era, that's when I started playing with my sister.
Yeah.
And then I ended up playing all my Tales games with Darby now. We've played, this is our 4th Tales game per area together.
Is it? Yeah. Oh, yeah, because 2's, yeah. And I should have had that in my list because I think I don't have the history with Tales as much as Jeff, but Jeff kind of pulled me into it because it's just a fun thing we get to do, 2-player doing this. But Tales of Xillia 2, I think I love even more than Jeff. Like that game was like that was just such a fun experience going through that game with him, and just how that game was complete. Because we had played Xillia, the first Xillia, and it was the same characters, like extension of the story. So I expected kind of more of the same, which it's a JRPG story. It's cheesy, but it's not it's not the best, but the characters are charming, and it's a fun. They're a fun character. So that's kind of what I expected more of, and it definitely is still cheesy and still has that, but the story just went in a completely different direction that I wasn't expecting, in a very dark and mature direction. At times we were like sitting there because there was choices you can make, and there's supposed to be a time limit. We told ourselves we wouldn't do it, but then we ended up every single time doing it anyway. We would press the menu button because it didn't know that so you could pause it even though you're not supposed to, basically. And there were some situations it would pop up there. Jeff would immediately hit the menu button, or I would scream at him to hit the menu button, and then we would just sit back and go, oh God, what are we gonna do? Which I have very fond memories of that game.
Yeah,
it was
those
very
games
special.
And we're enjoying Berserk. We haven't had as much time lately, but the time we put in, we're really enjoying.
We are. Yeah.
Let's see. Trying to think of the handhelds around that time. I had I had all the Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Advance SP, DS. Having trouble remembering particular games. There are a whole bunch of them. Obviously, I can name all the ones I have memories of.
Yeah.
But yeah, having trouble remembering ones that particularly stand out. So I'll move on to the PS3 for me. Actually, I'll start with this. I ended up getting the Xbox 360 first.
Yeah.
I wanted the PS3, but my dad gave it to me as a gift out of nowhere, so obviously I wasn't going to complain.
Yeah.
But the only game I have fond memories of, the only exclusive, is going back to Tales. Tales of Vesperia
Was the one that was out of place on the 360.
I guess I'm in hindsight, I'm happy of that because otherwise I wouldn't have played Vesperia, which is probably up there one of my favorite games of all time.
Right. Yeah. This was around the time where me and Jeff stopped playing video games for a while. I would be interested to see how many years that actually was, but
360 was actually like the start of me playing video games again because
it was sometime. It was like I guess tail end of Wii. I guess is more accurate to when we stopped. But
and then I got into it like late in the 360 and PS3 cycle
because there was a time where me and you both had 360s.
Yeah.
Only or whatever. Because I started out with I guess I got the Wii because everyone got the Wii. And I guess it was the tail end of the Wii's when I just kind of stopped playing video games at all. And eventually, I don't know, I got a 360. I don't know how I ended up getting a 360. I mean, everyone was getting them. I think it was all my friends had them.
It was probably that. Again, I was going to say.
Because they were winning at that point.
Screw everyone else, I'll get a PS3 because the exclusives appeal to me more. My research.
At the time, I wasn't into gaming enough to look at that. I was more just my friends have a 360. I think it was TJ had a friend of ours named TJ had a 360, and I played his, and I was like, I'll get it. And I actually do have some fond memories of 360. Most of them are not really exclusives, but that's where I played Skyrim and Fallout and stuff, and Far Cry 3 and games like that. And I love the Halo games. I really enjoy. I haven't played the last 2, I think, or whatever. But at least the ones before that, I still love those games.
Yeah, but as far as PS3 go, he just reminded me of the Wii. I'll go to that after this because there are some games that are worth pointing out on there. For PS3, of course, for me, there's more JRPGs and stuff, but a couple games series that really stood out were, like Dari said, The Last of Us.
Yes.
About everyone loved that game. Not much to say to that. And a series that stood out to me, and I really liked, was Infamous. That's when finding the game, that's the reason I wanted to get a PS3 over an Xbox.
Yeah.
I know it's more of a middling, generally more of an average game. I understand that. I just really enjoyed it all, the whole superhero open world thing, and as much as I understand people don't care for Second Son as much on the PS4, Infamous Second Son. The combat was, I would say, better as a whole, and just going around and doing that was a lot of fun to me.
Yeah.
Which made me like it more than most people.
It kind of seems like you're kind of, because it's it doesn't directly say it, but it's pretty much a superhero game, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's not or villain. It's not what your traditional, it's not like an established superhero thing, but it's basically like a comic game.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's kind of a product of the time because again, they could have done more and not make the whole good evil thing so binary.
Yeah, no, it was a little too binary, but again, for its time, for its time, that was really cool.
Again, I'd potentially go back and play Second Son just for the gameplay.
Yeah,
because I really loved that the gameplay. I guess going to the Wii real quick, just a couple shout-outs. Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. We haven't really played 2. Then we kind of I just know that seems great, so I'll just give it a shout. Yeah. The reason we haven't played that game because I think it was literally right before that game came out that we stopped playing games.
Yeah, it was right around then.
But we played Galaxy 1 and
phenomenal game.
Yeah.
Phenomenal game.
Another game that I think I mentioned in the last podcast that I really liked, Living Pressure Me, is No More Heroes. I love that game.
I remember watching Jeff play, and I'm like, this is a Wii game? This is messed up.
Honestly, when I played it at Dari's house, part of me was worried, should I play this? What if his mom comes in?
that game was pretty messed up.
Yeah, but I loved it. I have 2. I played most of it. I need to get back to that. It got into a weird time. I played on my Wii U, luckily.
Yeah.
Another game I need to give a shout out for that Daria might have forgot. Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn.
Wait, that was on my list. It was on my list. We were talking about Skyrim, but then somehow one of us said something about The Last of Us. But in between those two was Fire Emblem. So after I got to The Last of Us,
I was surprised you forgot about that.
I just kept going down the list, and I was like, oh, I must have talked about all these. Dang it, yeah. Sorry.
All right, it was our story of Fire Emblem generally. Like, of course, we knew the Fire Emblem characters from Smash Bros. But we never really played them. Plus, back then, you didn't really have many options, much of any, or any that we would know at the time. But when Super Smash Bros. Brawl came out, I was quickly drawn to Ike as my main. And then
we like Ike.
Yeah. Then quickly learned, like, oh, there's a Wii game, that Fire Emblem game that had Ike in it. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Not really knowing too much about it. Then I played. It's like, oh, this is amazing. Got Darby into it. He's like, oh, this is amazing. He showed his sister, or she watched this. She was also like, oh, this is amazing.
And she's not even in the games usually. And we would sit and like strategize out. And that game is freaking hard.
Yeah.
I mean,
and from what it sounds like, it's not just the fact that we were younger back then. It was our first Fire Emblem game.
It was just hard.
Yeah.
It was just legit.
I was happy to hear that.
Yeah, when I've talked to other people, I'm like, okay, good. I wasn't just an idiot. But it was one of those, like, when you would finally beat a level, it was so satisfying.
Yeah.
But this probably sounds funny to, like, older gamers and stuff that we, like, got to these games through Smash Bros. But I think that was a lot of people our age. Because I remember there was a time we were so into Smash Bros, but it's like we didn't know a lot of the characters. So I remember there were times we would talk about, like, oh, what are they from Fire Emblem? Let's look at that. We did that. Oh, that was cool. And there'd be another. It was like, well, maybe we should check out this game. Yeah. And it's like we were almost like getting our games through Smash Bros. Because Smash Bros. Is odd in the fact that you almost feel like a connection with these characters, even though you haven't even played the game before. And it just kind of led us to, getting into that. And Radiant Dawn is one of the best games, I think.
Yeah.
That I've ever played. It was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that got us more into Fire Emblem. We played obviously more Fire Emblem games since then, more recent ones, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Enjoy the series. Excited for the Switch game.
Heck yeah.
And I guess, depending, the 3DS one that's coming out in like a month or two.
The remake thing of the older ones.
I'm definitely interested. It's one of those things, like, so many games.
I should probably finish Fates first.
Oh, yeah, that. I know we're both almost done, but life got in the way.
Life did get in the way. Not that it was bad. It was fantastic.
Yeah. But. Like mentioned earlier, I had a Vita.
You did?
Yeah.
Gravity Rush,
Tearaway, Dissidia, Sly.
That about it?
I played some of Persona 4.
Is that where you played Hotline Miami?
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was. Yeah.
So we've listed all the games just playing.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed. I sold it. I know for some people this was crazy talk. I sold it to get a Wii U.
You're gonna get run off of Vita Island, Jeff. Lola's coming for you.
Yeah, references not many people probably get.
Maybe some of them.
And of course, I had a 3DS. Just a quick shout out to a game I love that Darby I know doesn't care for. Kid Icarus Uprising. Amazing game. One of the best handheld games of all time.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Is it?
You're just a scrub.
Oh, those controls are horrible.
No, the controls are amazing.
Freaking terrible. Anyway.
Story and stuff is also great. Well, dialogue at least.
I wouldn't know because the controls are horrible.
Nah, they're great. And then obviously PS4 stuff. Hard to look back on that.
No, I guess quick shout out. Play The Witcher. One of the best games I've played. Like definitely one of the best games of this generation. Mm-hmm. It kind of, honestly, I hate to say it, but it kind of, in my opinion, puts Bethesda on notice with Fallout 4 because Fallout 4 was good, but God, The Witcher.
I feel like a lot of people felt that way.
The Witcher's one-upping Bethesda at their own game, pretty much. And it's because, like, I honestly feel like open world, especially fantasy RPGs, but open world RPGs like that, like our story and combat and everything, they're going to be forever changed because of The Witcher. I mean, like, that game is gigantic, and every quest means something, and it's just, you really feel immersed in that world. So check that out. You don't have to play the previous ones because I haven't. And you could get that game and play. I've been playing that game for like 2 years now, and I'm still not done.
Yeah. So quick, another shout out to a PS2 game that I loved. I forgot about Dragon Quest VIII. If you have a 3DS, I recommend it because they're remastered. The graphics may not look as good because they had the make some compromise here and there, but apparently in some ways it's better and more content. So
those are some of the games that have influenced us.
Yep.
That's a little more about our gaming history. What time are we at, Jeff?
We're at about 50 minutes.
Yeah.
And it might be a little shorter for you people once we edit it.
Yeah. It'll peek behind the curtain.
Okay, Dari. Well, if you want to, we can still talk about the games we're looking forward to. Or if you want to, because there are plenty of those games that already came out this year we missed.
They're
that we
like,
still need
they're
to
all
get
the same. My
play.
backlog's so big that they're all pretty much new games to me at this point. Coming up, obviously, I mean, other people are going to be interested in Mass Effect. Neither of us are really Mass Effect guys, but the one of the more like upcoming ones, Persona 4.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that game just looks incredible and stylish. As a JRPG fan, I think like Persona is kind of an essential thing, and this just looks like everything's looking great for this game. It seems right up our alley. I don't know if you.
I'm very interested, but it's things like so long.
It's gonna be forever until I'm able to play it because we were talking about our bet. Like I have Final Fantasy 15, I haven't played. I have Watch Dogs 2, I haven't played.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I have both.
Gravity Rush 2, I haven't played.
I was looking at the list of games that are coming out or have come out this year. Apparently, I forgot about this. Is a Valkyria Chronicles sequel type thing coming out in the U.S.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that. Now that you say that, I remember that now too.
And Valkyria Chronicles is fantastic.
I for what I've played of the other one, it's really good. I don't know when the.
I guess I missed Dragon Quest 8, that HD thing for the remake thing. I don't know what to call it for the 3DS. It's not any of those things I really said. It's just being ported to the.
Just throw all words you can.
Yeah, all the normal stuff when a game
revamped,
gets ported.
rebooted. Yeah.
Oh wait, none of those technically count for this.
Delayed.
Yeah, it's just being ported to the 3DS with some extra content.
Budokai Tenkaichis.
Yep.
Throw words. In July, Final Fantasy 12, the remake of Final Fantasy 12. That game is one of the most underappreciated games out there, I think. Everyone should play that. I'm excited for it.
Yep, I'm excited for the run out time. Sonic Mania.
Yes.
Something I need to get to at some point. The Kingdom Hearts 2.8 thing. I'm not going to read the whole name.
The final chapter prologue, right?
Yeah.
Or is that just part? It's something.
I don't know.
Birth by Dreams.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy Telltale.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's confirmed for this year.
Something I'll watch out for, the Zero Escape collection, the Nonary Games collection. I played, I think it was like 999 or whatever that one is, and I like that one a lot. I think I did play that game on my Vita. So it's at least something else.
There's all those indies for Nintendo that I'm interested in.
Yeah. Shout out to Hollow Knight.
Yeah. We were talking.
They're like. Or our test episode, we talked about their indie presentation. A lot of games on there I'm interested in.
Yeah. And me and Jeff talked about off mic about just how there's games like that are kind of going under the radar right now because this is such a busy, insane time in games. I'm interested in Prey. I haven't, it's one of those, I'm not like sold on it or like, I'm not like looking at every update or anything, but I'm interested in it.
I think a lot of people compare it to BioShock in ways.
Yeah.
I am curious in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Yeah, I want to see what they put in it, what's
what
different
they do.
about it. Yeah.
And depending if I hear stuff like, "Hey, Joy-Cons do well for it in multiplayer," that'll be more likely since they got 4. Be like, okay.
I kind of think Tetris. They will now that I've played with it. So I think.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine for that game.
I just Puyo Puyo Tetris doesn't come out until like April 20 something or something.
25th.
So
not that long away. It's like only a month and a week.
Oh yeah. But we got it early, Jeff, because Jeff had to learn Japanese to play.
Oh yeah. I had to learn it. Konnichiwa.
Kawaii.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited for Injustice 2.
No.
Always interested in Fire Emblem Echoes. when the remake thing when that comes out.
Red Dead.
Red Dead.
I mean, that's not as much Jeff, but I love the original, or not. I love Red Dead Redemption, so I'm definitely excited for.
Now, Dark, we gotta talk about one of the biggest games of the year.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that sarcastically right now, like I normally do. Super Mario Odyssey.
Yeah. I mean,
that game it's gonna be great.
I kind of have no doubt that game's gonna be amazing.
But how amazing is up in the air.
Yeah, is it gonna be as revolutionary? Like, is it gonna be like Breath of the Wild was for Zelda for Mario?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Actually, that kind of thing kind of scares me that people have those expectations going into it and not just hurt the reception of the game. I don't think it needs to be that, but
no, as long as it's good. I mean, like it's it's hard to do something like that. It's hard to have something that's as special as that. So as long as it's a good, really good, innovative 3D Mario, which I have no doubt Nintendo will. I mean, Nintendo doesn't have a problem with making good games.
No.
Honestly, that's not really their problem. Selling hardware is more their problem.
Yeah, hardware that generally people like. I mean, I think it sounds like they're nailing with the Switch right now. And just some of their other random things.
No.
Yeah, they have trouble with.
Well,
a couple other shout-outs real quick.
Yeah.
South Park, The Fractured But Whole.
Yes.
A game I'm interested in seeing more and seeing when it even comes out in America or Japan. Dragon Quest XI.
Yes.
That's a weird situation because you have PS4, the Switch, and the 3DS. But the 3DS version is like completely different than the other versions.
Huh.
It's a weird thing. You can just look at it later to see. I think generally speaking, you'd like it from what I've seen. And yeah.
Uncharted 4 Lost Legacy thing or whatever. The DLC thing.
Splatoon 2.
It's really cool, Splatoon.
And I guess it'll be too late when you're hearing this, but there's a test fire the weekend after we're recording this, so like the weekend of the 24th, so like March 24th through the 26th. If
hopefully
you have a
saw
Switch.
that.
Yeah. And I assume I'm going to be playing it some, and I'll have impressions on how the game itself, many difference than Splatoon, just the basic stuff, and how it does on the Switch, and handheld and stuff, and how the Joy-Con grip does, stuff like that.
Yeah.
One last game, real quick, that I can remember that I'm excited for: Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Good, Jeff's a big nerd, but I'm just kidding.
I am.
The other one seemed cool, gameplay-wise at least.
Yeah. So. It's going to be more after the first Xenoblade Chronicles.
Mm.
I don't know if that was the one you're talking about, that or X.
I'm talking about the Wii U one.
X.
That's X.
X gonna give it to you.
X gonna give it to you. But I mean, is it made by the same people that made X?
Oh yeah.
So I mean, like, I'm just saying, gameplay wise, it'll still.
And
be
same people who made Xenosaga.
Yeah.
That's why. I
like it. Is that supposed to be like all one world, whatever the Xenosaga and then Xenoblade?
Legally, no.
They don't. Is it like owned by a different company? Or
yeah, I think Namco Bandai or whatever has the rights to Xenosaga, and I think Square has the rights like Xenogears or whatever.
Yeah.
All those different Xeno games are owned by different people. It's like a Nintendo owns Xenoblade.
That's weird.
Yeah, but all made by the same company. It's a weird situation, but. I think that's all the games that I post the schedule for the show.
Oh, I can think about. I'm sure we're missing.
Their game's gonna be farther out on the thing, like God of War, the new one.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be this year.
No, I guess it's Detroit. I'm interested in.
Yeah,
that could come out this year.
I think one of those might be like one of those big E3 games.
But what I hate is it'll probably be Days Gone.
Yeah,
and I don't care about Days Gone.
From the sound, it sounds like not many people do. I'm worried about that.
And if we're being honest right now, more hot takes. Sounds like more people are interested in it. The people that are, from what I've seen, not like I look everywhere, are because it's a PlayStation exclusive. I think. We have people in mind. Yeah. But yeah, again, this is kind of generic. We haven't seen technically much of it, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, they might. I mean, like if they put out something else, they could could catch me. Who knows?
Yep.
I'm open-minded.
I'm just looking through this. I forgot. It's supposed to be that Metal Gear Survive game.
Oh, yeah, with Zambi.
That's a thing.
People seem to really like that
Yeah.
trailer. You know?
I'm also interested in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. If anything, for these kinds of things, I like to see what characters they
Have they
choose.
said anything about like time frame of that coming out? Like, I mean, I know it's probably not anytime soon because they're doing like they're re-releasing 3.
Wasn't that a case of it's like a quick release, like, hey, this is happening, and it's out today?
Is it already out?
I think so.
No.
I think it was out digitally the day of, but they may be waiting out. It may be taking time for a physical release, if I remember correctly.
Okay, maybe that's one.
If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. Getting your hopes up.
It's okay. That's what we did here, Jeff.
Yep.
That's what we do.
Yeah, I think that's all. There's a lot of games, and there's plenty of like little indie stuff that we're forgetting that we will definitely be getting probably.
All right. Well, I think we can get out of here then.
Yep.
So this has been. Hopefully, you know a little bit more about us, about our gaming history as we continue.
Hopefully, you don't think we're too much of scrubs.
Yeah, I mean,
for gaming taste.
Wouldn't blame you for thinking that. I really wouldn't blame you at all.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
You can find us on iTunes, Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast. You can find us at Twitter at Nerds at Large.
On the Facebook, probably maybe by the time this is up at
hopefully, yeah,
Nerds at Large.
Hopefully, this will be next weekend. So hopefully, I can do that by then. YouTube.
That's messing with my head. That this is.
I've heard other people on podcasts have to do this or whatever. I just don't think anything of it. But now that I'm actually doing it myself, I'm like, oh, hey, you're listening to me a week ahead of time.
That's a lot of things. That's just putting this together.
Again, I said last time, podcasting's hard, you guys.
Yeah.
Who knew? Hot take.
Yep.
Scoops.
It's more than just talking and saying gibberish.
And I'm disappointed in that. I really thought that all I'd have to do is say some gibberish and it would happen.
Well, stuff we're saying it's not controversial enough, so it's not as easy.
So we should say some more controversial things?
Yeah, of course.
You're saying? Well, Jeff, I know we just started this podcast, but I'm actually leaving to go talk about politics. I hope that's okay with you.
Oh, okay.
So it's all you.
Well, luckily I haven't put that much into this, so I can move on without taking much of a hit.
Thank you for listening, everyone.
Thank you, and see you next week. Or 2 weeks, or whenever. This is messing with my head this time.
We're still doing it. We're still going. Goodbye.
Goodbye.